What up, world? What up? Thank you for tuning in to a special episode of Convos with Deej. I'm the Deej. This is episode 11. As you can see from the title, it's my birthday, so I thought I would do a video dedicated to me. It's like now. Dedicated to the lessons that I learned from the past 10 years. There's a question on Twitter that I saw like this past week, and it's like, how do you survive your 27 and 29? And I was like, oh my God, those years were crazy. So I thought I'd just make this video, and maybe somebody out there younger than me or even older can get some info or whatever. One second. I'm doing this in my car. One is like, it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. And two, like, I'm back home with my grandma right now and my mom, so I didn't want to, since I'm doing this early, I didn't want to make a lot of noise. And also they kind of make a lot of noise, like with TVs and kitchen and all that stuff. So that's what I'm doing in my car right now. But anyway, let's get to it. So I turned 20. I wrote all this down because yesterday I tried to do this and the video was too long, so it ended up not getting saved. So this time I wrote things down, so if I look down like that, I'm looking at my notes. So turned 20 in November of 2011. So I was at the Mount, shout out Mount St. Mary's. I was at the Mount. It's my junior year. That birthday was kind of like that, like the beginning of my 20s was kind of like, but well, not even kind of like, it was shitty, to be honest, because let's see, the year before, like that summer, that's when Big John was killed. So that happened. So that definitely like changed my perspective on life, and I was only 18 going into 19. So then the beginning of junior year, like towards the end of September, that's when my uncle was killed. So then like that was like that was tragic. So I really didn't want to celebrate my birthday. Like looking back, like I really didn't want to celebrate my birthday. I really didn't want to do anything. And junior year is already hard in general because it's like, I don't know, it just feels like it's the third year. And it's like, do I even really want to do this anymore? Like, I don't. Junior years to me is probably the hardest year of college, just in my opinion, because it's like you're right there, but it's also like, I don't know. But anyway, that was my junior year. So my birthday came, I was turned 20, and like most of that year is kind of a blur. So it's like, yeah, most of it's like a blur as far as like what happened. But as far as like key moments, like the incident with my uncle happened the beginning of the end of September, and then at the time I was friends with a girl, Brandy, and like we had been friends for a little while. So we were at that phase where it's like, all right, well, what are we going to do next? And then, but we're also at that early stage of adulthood where it's like, oh, who are we? like who are we? Like, who am I? Who do I want to be as far as a person or as far as an adult? So everybody's going through those things at the time. And like, she's going through this drama, and I'm not really, like, I'm dealing with it, but I'm not really dealing with it, especially after my uncle passed away. So it's like, I wasn't really with the shits, but like, we had been friends. Like, it was a complicated situation, to be honest. So like, that was the majority of like junior year. So that's probably why my junior year was rough. It's just like, I had all that stuff going on. It's just like, I didn't really want to be at the Mount. Just looking back, I really didn't want to do anything. So it's like, but I pushed through. And then the only other like main thing that happened was like 420 of that year, because most people in general, like, they're like, oh, either they don't drink ever or they start drinking like super early. But like I would consider myself a late bloomer. Like I didn't really want to drink at all because I seen like family members growing up, and then like you hear stories. It's like, nah, I'm not really a part of that. So, but with everything that happened that year, like I guess I chose 420 of that year because I remember it's like, okay, like that, like, so that was the first time that I had alcohol. I was 20, so I was like a few months from, that was, yeah, April of 2012. So I was a few months from being 21. So sorry, but I'm whatever. So the first time I drank, and it was like also the first time I smoked. So it was like all those things together. But at first it was like, all right, and then it was like, shout out to Ham, Prescott, and Migo for taking care of me that night. Like I mean, I didn't throw up or anything. I remember it, but like it was definitely a struggle getting back to the apartment. And I didn't even have that much. It's just like, all right, first time, and then like you do all those things the same night. It's like, it was an experience. So but I wouldn't trade it. Like, I mean, because looking back on it is something that I had to go through to understand. It's like, all right, well, then, like, why do people do this? And then it's like, now that I'm older, I can look back and be like, oh, okay, like I was going through something. So, but then after that, I was like, all right, I'm still don't want to drink, still don't want to smoke. Like that was an experience, but I'm good on that. So then I'm before I go into 21, the most important lesson of 20, like that year of me being 20, was that like life is just unpredictable in general. Like I had all the things happen within that year. There's a whole bunch of drama, a whole bunch of just questions, and I'm trying to figure out, like, and this is 20, like you're just trying to figure out who you want to be and what you're going to do after you graduate, or what you're going to do with life in general. So that was probably the most important lesson of 20. Like, just life is unpredictable, and it's serious, and it can be short. Yeah, so I mean, relatively life is short. Like when you think about how old Earth is and everything, and like the history of humans and all that stuff, like relatively, even if we live to be 100 or 200, like that's still like a grain of sand compared to like billions of years. So sorry to get super deep, but so now I'm turning 21. It's my 4th year. I did 5 years at the Mount, so going into my 4th year. Junior year, I decided I didn't want to be on campus. Like, if I'm going to come back, it's like I'm going to live off campus. So 21 was actually lit. Like 20 was bad, and 21 was lit because I had the cottage. Shout out to the cottage off campus. It was close enough to the Mount where you could walk there, but it was far enough where like you're off campus, and like public safety and all the Mount drama was on campus. You could leave, but you could still, it's like, oh man, I'm hungry, or I gotta go to class. Like you could literally walk, or I mean, most people just drive because it's a short drive. So I had the cottage. That place was lit. And then I turned 21 that November, and then December of 2012, we're shout out to the gang. We're all like sitting out on the porch, and I'm playing, like, I'm using the DJ app on my phone, and then I played Nas One Love, and like it's just playing, and then like I just had the thought, it's like, well, maybe I could do music. Maybe I should just do music, because at that point, before I even went to the Mount, I wanted to be a game designer, but the Mount is not where you go to be a game designer. It's obviously not. So I didn't want to go to the Mount, but I'm grateful I went there because of all the friends that I still have to this day. But as far as like me wanting to go to the Mount, like, no, I never wanted to go to the Mount. I wanted to go to Savannah College of Art and Design and be a game designer, but life happens. So I had the thought, like, maybe I could do music, like produce music. I don't know, rap. I didn't really want to be a rapper because it's like, oh, you're a rapper. Even though rap is an art, Like, it's more than just like, oh, I can rhyme cat and hat. It's like, no, like, it's actually like being cheesy or old head. Is like rhythm and poetry, bro. Like, you're using words and you're putting them to the music, but you're doing it in a way that like fits the music. And it's like, not everybody out here can be a real lyricist. Like, it's a difference between being a rapper and like, oh, I rap, and then like, oh shit, like you're really saying something, and like you're using your words with music to make an impact. So, but I don't want to be a rapper. Like, it's a lot of great lyricists out here, and if I do something, I want to be the best at it. So if I were to be a rapper, it's like, oh man. Or if I wanted to be a lyricist, like, I'd be writing all day. Like, it's fun to do, but nah. So I was like, all right, well, maybe I could just produce music. It was just like, yeah, because in hindsight, like, DJing and producing basically go hand in hand, because you have to have the ear for the right song, and then if you can find the right sample or whatever, then you can chop it up, do this, that, and the third. So it's like, yeah, it's like, first, it's like, okay, I could be a producer, because at the time, nobody was like, being a DJ wasn't like, oh man, like you could be a DJ. But at the same time, like, that's when all the big DJs out now were really getting into it, like, okay, because it was becoming more accessible to the masses. Like, you could get a turntable, or you could get a controller, you get the program on your phone. I had a program on my phone. Like, you can find a way to DJ. So I had the thought, but I still had to finish college. So it was like, all right, so we're at the cottage, in college, and like I said, 21 was lit. I had the cottage, the Ravens won the Super Bowl, so I saw all of that, and then like, my friends graduated. I was supposed to graduate that year, but I still had credits to finish. So my friends graduated. So it was a great year, and like, it was great. That year was magnificent. 21 was great. I'll be honest. Like I said, 21 or 20 was 20. 21 was really good. So the most important lesson that I learned with 21, yeah, like, find your passion. Like, because that was literally the year that I figured out, like, all right, I want to do music. I didn't know what I was going to do in music, but it was like, all right, I'm going to do music, because everything I did, that was the only thing. Music's the only thing that I really like understand, is like, oh, I could talk about this forever. I could do this forever, compared to like, oh, like, I'm an accountant, and I can't do that, bro. Like, that's just not me. Like, I want to, being a DJ is more than just, oh, I just play this song and do this. It's like, no, I'm setting a vibe for a whole party, and depending on how I do, like, people are either going to be really happy or they're going to be really upset. So I have the power to make people happy. It's like, you can, how can you do that in an office? It's just like, oh, it's like, oh, okay, like, hello. I'm like, no, that's not me. So 21, most important lesson is like, find out what you're passionate about, or find out what your passion is, and find a way to make that work. And this is what I would tell my younger self. Like, I would be like, yo, just like, I definitely go back in the past and be like, just focus on music and then figure it out from there. Instead, I probably wouldn't have gone to but if that's life. If I was able to go back, like, that would change everything, and I might not be who I am today. So it is what it is. So moving forward, 22 is November 2013. So this is my 5th year at the Mount. Got a few more credits to finish up, turning 22. And then Dr. Flynn, shout out Dr. Flynn. There was like an email or like a post or whatever that went out to the schools, like, the Mountain's giving a trip to Russia, because we have a sister school over there, South Ural. And that's out in Chelyabinsk. So I saw the email, and like, I had already had class with Dr. Flynn. So she was one of my favorite teachers. So I was like, all right, well, fuck it, I don't have anything to lose. So, I just sent the email. I was like, all right, I'm interested. And I think we had to do like an essay and all that. And then somehow I got accepted. So it was like, okay, I'm going to Russia. But the trip wasn't until February of 2014. So it's like, all right, I gotta finish this out, and then like next like February, like the beginning of the year, I'll be going to Russia. And it's like it was me, like Kyle, and like everybody that went on the trip. Whew, that was a fun trip. We spent like about 2 weeks over there. Like a majority of it was in South Euro, Chelyabinsk, and then we spent a few days in St. Petersburg. And man, that was a great time. Like, I believe I had to write an essay, and I believe Dr. Flynn asked us like, well, why do you want to do this? And if I'm being honest, it's just like black people don't go to Russia because like they don't know anything about, not like they don't know anything about Russia, but it's just not on the radar of like, oh shit, like I want to see what Russia's like. For most Black Americans, maybe Black people around the world maybe go to Russia, but even when I was there, I was really the only Black person there. You may see like one Black person here or there, but anytime that I've been to like, I've only been to Russia, and then like later on I'll talk about Iceland, but those are the only two countries that I've been to, and like unless you're an athlete or like, I don't know, like, yeah, majority of the time, unless you're an athlete, like you're not, Black people aren't over there. So I wrote an essay. It's like I didn't write that per se, but it's like it's an experience that I'll be able to get to do that most people like me or where I'm from will never get to experience. So it's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go take that leap. And then I got accepted. So that trip really opened my eyes as far as like the world in general, because before that, all I was thinking was like, all right, well, after college, I'm going to move to California and then like do something from there. But once I went to Russia, I was like, oh shit, like I don't have to move to California. I can literally move anywhere, because it's way more to the world than just the United States. So it's like, oh shit, like going to Russia is like, all right, well, I definitely want to come back here. So maybe not to live, but it'd be like, I want to come back here. And I wouldn't have had that if I hadn't like taken a leap and just been like, all right, I'm going to apply for this. Side note, for like, if, to me, my opinion, like Black people probably will feel more at home in places like Russia or like Iceland than they do here, because it's like they'll be like, oh, well, there's racism. It's like people don't like you for whatever. But if in general, if you're a nice person and you treat people kindly, then you'll get that in return. If you're an asshole, then it don't matter. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be an asshole who speaks Spanish, Russian, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all about who you are as a person. So if you get off that good energy, like you're going to get that back. So when I went to Russia, like, and this is coming from a Black perspective, you really have to think like most people only, like, especially in a country like that, they only know of Black people or even just like Black Americans, like from what they see on TV. And like, we all know what we see on TV or in the media or whatever. So like I went over there and it's like, nah, like I'm just me. Like I don't wear baggy clothes. I'm polite. Like I don't fit the stereotype of what people see on TV. So whenever you interact with me, it's like, oh wait, no, he's not. He's different. It's like, it's not even I'm different. It's just like it's just being nice. It's just being kind, like simple things. Like, no, I'm not going to curse you out, or I'm not going to talk to you in a vulgar way. I'm not going to wear my clothes a certain way. Like I believe in being presentable, and I believe in being articulate, I guess. But at the same time, like, I can curse and I can use ebonics or whatever. It's like, as a Black American, you have to be able to be successful. You have to be able to speak all these languages. It's like, yeah, you have to be able to speak polite and converse and do all these things, but you also have to be able to be like a little hood and like a little thuggish. But like, that's not me. Like, I'm not a thug, so it's like, I don't talk like that. So I'm not gonna waste my time putting that energy out. I'm getting off track, but anyway. Also, another side note: the women in Russia. Oh my God, chef's kiss. Shout out to him. That's his phrase. Chef's kiss, bro. Gorgeous. So, most important lesson I learned in 22, and I also graduated that year. So, like, 22 was great. 21 was great, and 22 was great. Most important lesson that I learned was to just get out your comfort zone. Like, if I hadn't applied to go to Russia, or even just been open to a new experience, then that would have never happened. And like, who knows what would have happened. I might have just gone to California and just did whatever. But that changed my perspective as far as like what I want to do with my life and where I want to go and what I have to do to get there. So that's 22. 23 is November of 2014. Let's see. Nothing really happened in 23, if I'm being honest. Nothing big. Like, I had a job after I graduated, and I got fired because I peed outside. So it's like, okay. And then I was like, this is just me at home until like March of 2015. And then I got a job as a delivery driver for Safeway. So it's like, all right, I'm just getting jobs out of school, trying to figure it out. The things that, well, if I looking back, it's like, all right, well, if I had planned more leaving college, I would have probably been in position to work somewhere. I still had a job out of college, but it's like, it wasn't in my field. So it's like, okay. But also, at the end of the day, at that point, I wanted to be a DJ. So it's like, I'm just getting the degree just to be like, I got a degree. So I did what y'all asked me to do. Like, I went to college, I got a degree, like, giving me the job that's supposed to, as we all can see now, like, that's not true anymore. Like, you need more than a degree, but okay. So, but getting off track. So nothing really happened in 23. Other than like, I just moved back home. And it's like, okay, I'm back home. So but I'm still just, I guess the most important lesson is just like, I just keep pushing. I don't know. Like I said, 23 was just kind of bland. It's just like, okay, I'm out of school. What am I going to do next? But 24 was dope because 2015, like that, the September 2015, this is when Prescott first got signed to go to Iceland, like to go overseas and play basketball for real. So shout out to that experience. I was working at Safeway and I had enough to buy the plane and like go over to Iceland. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go over there and see what I can do. So I spent 3 months in Iceland. My birthday happened, and then I had to come back home in December. Iceland was really cool. It was like similar to Russia, like definitely smaller. We were in a small town. Shout out Quagity. I believe that's how you say it, but it's like an hour from Reykjavik. But like, Iceland was cool. It was a cool experience. If I went there during the summer, or probably the best time to go is during the spring, so you can actually get like regular. Because if you go in the winter, like most of the day is like darkness because of just where it's at, and I don't know. And then like if you go in the summer, most of the time is the sun's out, so it's like, nah, you don't want that. So, but that experience was fun, and like I said, like I feel that people in general should get, especially Americans, should like go out of the country, not like Canada or to Puerto Rico or like one of the close countries or whatever. Like, actually go somewhere and see the world, so you can be like, oh, like there's more to this than just, because when I went to both of these places, like it's like a slower pace, and like people just happy to just be there. And then you come back here, it's like hustle and bustle. It's like you getting your grind. What are you doing? It's like, oh shit, like that. Like those 2 trips made me realize it's like, all right, like I don't want to be in a city, like long term, because it's like it's no nature, and then it's just too much of this energy. It's just like like everybody's hyped up and all this shit. Like, nah. It's cool to go to a city and visit and like, oh, we're experiencing, but to live in a city, like, oh my god, no. So let's see. So all right, I turned 24 in Iceland, come back home, and then it's like, all right, I'm back home again. So it's like kind of like 23. It's like, all right, what am I going to do now? And then, okay, so I moved back home, and then I'm basically, I don't even remember where I'm working at this time, but like I'm back home, and then that summer, I decided that I wanted to move out, and like, all right, I want to be on my own, or at least like out, like not out on my own, like far, but like, you know, out on my own, because like just the rules of coming back home, like we all know how it goes when you go back home. So that summer, I ended up getting roommates in a house in Frederick, Maryland, not too far from the mountain. So get the house, got a job out there. So that happened about August, and then I start working there as a call center, and then this is where I meet my first like real girlfriend. Like I've had girlfriends like growing up, but I wouldn't, as far as like first adult girlfriend, I would say, like, you know, like you're doing adult things, you're out in the real world living life. So I'm 24, and then I meet Sasha, and like she's 21. So it's like, all right, like this is cool. But at first, like because of just working in general, it's like I'm not really here to like make friends or whatever. I'm just here to do my job, get in, get paid, get out of here, go home, leave me alone. But like she wanted to be my friend. Is like she says like we're gonna be friends. It's like no, we're not gonna be friends. And then we end up being friends, and then like our friendship grew within like a couple months. Then that October, like if I'm being honest, like that October, that's when I lost my virginity, because and that's important because you hear all these stories like, oh yeah, I was having sex since I was like 12, 13, 16, 18. It's like, all right, like cool for y'all or whatever. But at the same time, in my mind growing up, like from a young age, like I saw how important sex was, because not from like TV, but like in my family, it's like my parents are divorced, but they're divorced because of infidelity. And if you know what infidelity is, then you understand. Then you understand. It's like my family was broken up because of infidelity. Like I don't know how else to put it. So from a young age, I'm looking at it like, okay, so it's definitely important who you choose to have sex with. It's like, and there's definitely like shows and stuff that like talk about sex or whatever. So, you know, you're young, you're just like, you're seeing it. It's like, okay. But most of the shows are also like, yeah, you pick one person and then you grow, and it's like, yeah, in theory, that's how it's supposed to go. But then you watch, like, you grow up and you watch your friends, you watch your family, you see like, oh shit, like it was stuff like even like in like I remember in third grade, there was like a story on the news, because I was at St. Paul's, and there was a story on the news, like it was this big sex thing. It's like and you're just a kid, you're just like, damn, this shit's crazy. Like looking back, you're like, yo, this is crazy. Like there are a lot of things, sexually based events that happened, not to me, but like that I saw happen to like other people that I was aware of. And I was like, okay, like this is serious. So that's why I was like, in my mind, I was like, all right, well, if I'm going to have sex with somebody, like like it has to be somebody that I care about, and like I know we all know how sex works, so it's like it's gotta be somebody that I'm willing to, I guess, spend the rest of my life with. So that's why I went into that spiel. Like it took me until 24 to feel comfortable enough to be like, all right, I like this person, like let's see where this goes. So then a month later, I'm turning 25. So it's like, all right, 24 was like, it's like, okay. And then 25 started off kind of rough, like my birthday party or whatever, brunch, whatever. That was kind of rough. So it was like, that was kind of like foreshadowing of how 25 was going to go. I was like, okay. So yeah, like 25 is by far the roughest year. So 25 is November 2016 to 2017. 2017 was rough. January happens. Me and Sasha are still together. February goes through. Me and Sasha leave music and arts because like we didn't want to be there. Two, she has health issues that like with the stress of like going to work and all that stuff can compound, and like she has to take off of work or go to the hospital. So like she made the move to not go, but she was also financially stable enough. She was in a position where she was financially stable and like she didn't have to work, but she liked working because to be honest, she didn't know she was going through that phase that I was going through when I was her age, like at 21. Like, what am I going to do? But then she realized she wanted to be an actress, so it's like she left there and she's like, all right, I think I want to be an actress. So like, okay. And then I left there because like I didn't want to be there, but I still had a job. I've always had either a full-time job or like part-time jobs. So it was like, all right, cool. So I left there, still working, and then, but I was supposed to get hired at PNC, but that job fell through. So I didn't get that. So then I didn't have enough to pay for the rent at the place I was staying at, which the place I was staying at, I was not supposed to have been paying the amount that I was paying, the way that was told to me when I got there. So like all these things started building up, and then it's like, all right, I gotta move out of here because I'm basically being forced to move out. But then ironically, it's only one person. It was 3 of us in there. 2 of us were working. 1 of us wasn't. But that one person that wasn't somehow found a way to get the rent for that. But he wasn't. But before that, it was just me and the other person who were working. I'm not trying to go into that. So I move out, but I'm like, all right, I can't go back home because I just left like last year. So I ended up moving in with Sasha. So it's like, okay. And then like I'm not the kind of guy that's like, all right, I'm going to move in and then like not do anything. Like I first I offered to pay because I know that's like she's able to pay the bills on her own, but like I'm offering, it's like, yo, I'll pay whatever. Like, let me know. She's like, nah, you're good. Like, just figure it out. Or like just focus on you and like we'll work it out. So it's like, okay. And then but in hindsight, it's like I should have been on my shit, like, just to be honest. Like I shouldn't have even been in a situation where like I had to move in with her because like it just didn't work out. Like that was like kind of the beginning of like the end, and then like a bunch of other stuff happened that I don't feel like going into because like I have my side and she probably has hers, but I can accept my faults in the situation. Like I wasn't financially stable, and I honestly wasn't. If I had been financially stable, like I would have been more prepared to take on like having a girlfriend, and then like, all right, if she's feeling a little stressed out over bills, it's like, all right, I'll take care of this. But I just wasn't like I was learning, so I don't know how else to put it. So that relationship went through like it was short highs and then like deep lows. It's like, okay. And then by the time it ended, like we broke up like a year, that October, like the day that I lost my virginity, like a year later, we broke up. It's like, okay, because it's like, whatever. It's, at that point, I knew she was over it. It was like, I was over it. So it's like whatever. But then I still didn't want to move home. So like, I was still there for about a month. It's just like, oh my God. Like, I wouldn't suggest anybody put themselves in that kind of situation. Like, that was horrible. But it was something that I had to go through so that I could know not to put myself into that situation again, and so that I could grow up. That 25 was the year that I had to, like, here we go. 25, I had to unlearn, relearn, so that I could grow. I had to basically unlearn all the shit that I had learned from my past. Like, oh, this is how it's supposed to go. Like, and even if, because that's not how it works anymore. It's like, it in theory, it's supposed to be like, all right, well, a relationship, you meet the person and then y'all come together and then you're on the same page and you go through the struggles, and if there are struggles, it's like, all right, well, I trust that we're going to get through this together. But if I'm being honest, it's like most younger people aren't with the shits. Like, they're not with the struggle. They want to glam and all that shit and put it online, and it's like, okay. It's like, okay, but what about like the lows? Like, what about when she's going through something? It's like, okay, you have to deal with that as a man. But then on the flip side, it's like, what if he's going through something? And it's like, as the woman, does she want to deal with that? It's like, I don't have the answers. So, but if I'm being honest, like, nah, she don't want to deal with that. And as the man, it's like, you're willing to deal with it to an extent, and then you kind of get tired of it. So yeah, so I had to unlearn all that shit, and then I had to be like, all right, well, because after I broke up, then I finally moved in November, then like my birthday, and then I moved in with some friends, and they gave me a month to stay there. So then at the end of the year, I still had to move back home. So it's like, all right, I got to figure out what I'm doing, because whatever I was told is like, all right, well, if you do this, this, and this, you'll get this. Like, that's not working for me, because I did I did all the things that your parents say you should do, and like, it's not working for me. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it didn't work for me. So it's like, okay, so what do I do now? So I turned 26. That's 2017. End of 2017. I'm back home. Beginning of the year, my mom and my grandma get in a huge argument, and I try to separate them, but I get caught up into, like, with everything that happened in 2017, and I didn't want to be home. So like, I have all these emotions built up, and then like, I end up hitting the wall, but like, I end up hitting it in a way like where it's like, I end up putting a hole in the wall. And I get angry, or me and Prescott had this debate. It's like, am I angry? It's like, no, I get passionate about things. I wouldn't say that I'm angry though, because I don't really have things to be angry about. But in that moment, I was angry. So like, I hit the wall and I put a hole in it. I see the hole. I'm like, all right, this is the year that I decided to get therapy. So 26 is all about therapy. Like, if you have things going on and you don't have anybody to talk to that you can really confide in, like, go get therapy. Like, you don't have, and I did it pro bono. If you don't know what that means, like, that means like basically for free. Like, you can find a therapist who will help you for free. You don't have to, like, there are websites and there are people, if you have insurance, you can go out and get a therapist, but you can also find a therapist who will talk to you and help you for free. So if you feel like you need to talk to somebody, like, please go talk to somebody. Therapy is important. That's basically 26 for me. Like, I'm home, and like, I had to get therapy to figure out, like, all right, what's wrong? Not what's wrong with me, but like, what's going on with me, I guess you could say. So spent 26 doing that. Let's see. Nothing else really happened in 26. Like, that's the main thing in 26. I got therapy. 27 was the end of 2018, going into 2019. So I was like, okay, so I'm still at home, like I'm working. I started working at a smoke shop in May of 2018. So I was working there, I was making good money. It's like, all right, cool. But I wasn't making enough to live on my own. So it's like, okay, are y'all going to make me a manager or whatever? Because I was putting in numbers and doing all the things that, in theory, like you should do to get a promotion. It's like, okay. But like I was seeing people who came after me. It's like, oh, like they don't even work half as hard as me. And their numbers aren't where my numbers are. So it's like, how? So it's like, all right, whatever. So I left there, and then I went to go work for another call center, like great places to work. But before I got the call center, like I moved out of my grandma's house because me and her, like we were starting to butt heads because my grandma's very particular in how she likes things, which is like, all right, it's your house. I get that. So I try to do that. But at the same time, like when you're getting older, and it's just like all these rules, it's like you just want your own place. So it's like, all right. So my dad helped me out, and I got an apartment that wasn't too far from everybody. It's about a half hour. And then I got the job at the call center. So I was like, all right, cool. Like I got my own place. So 27 was all about like just like finding the space to like be yourself, I guess. Cause like being in a house, I was going through therapy and all that stuff, but I didn't have, I guess, peace of mind. Cause it's like I go to work and then I come back and it's like I had to deal with things here. It's like I just want to like you want to come home and you just want to be able to like sit down and relax. And it's like when you're living under somebody else's house and under their rules, like you have to go by their rules basically. So it's like all that stuff's happening. But once I got the apartment, it's like, all right, cool. Like I can go out whenever, and I don't stay out late, but it's like I can wake up whenever I want, do whatever I want, and like if I want to just be silent all day, I could do that. And I did that sometimes. So it's like, okay. So 27 was all about like just finding the space to breathe, and peace of mind is important. Like you need that. Everybody needs peace of mind. So 2 more years. So 2019, November 2019, I left the call center to become a teacher because the call center, like I don't like working at call centers because like you get people really don't understand. It's like, yo, just because you call in, this is for all the call center workers, like, or people who even call in. Like, just because you call in with a problem doesn't mean like you're going to get the solution solved like immediately. Sometimes the computer's running slow. Sometimes I have to pull up your information. Like some places you can go and you call in and your information pulls up. Other places you have to ask questions so I can pull your information up. Then sometimes I gotta put you on hold. Sometimes I gotta call you back. Don't call in with a fucking attitude, because that's not gonna get you what you want. All that's gonna happen is we're gonna put you on hold and either just take longer because it's like, yo, I really don't want to have to talk to this person anymore. So we could solve your issue in probably like 2 minutes and then just keep you on hold because it's like, yo, this person's an asshole. Don't be an asshole when you call any place. Don't be an asshole when you go anywhere for customer service, because you're not going to get what you want. And I promise you, like it does not work well. Be kind to everybody in general. Just do that. It's very simple, y'all. So I become a substitute teacher, and I'm like, okay, because I don't have a teaching certification. So I became a substitute. So I was like, all right, maybe I want to become a teacher, because I've had jobs with kids, and like kids are always cool to work with. Like they're just good energy. They just want to have fun and they want to be safe. So it's like, as long as I keep them safe and make sure they have a good time. And if I can teach them something at the same time, like, yeah, all right, let's see how teaching works. I did teaching all the way up until March of the March of 2020, and then the pandemic happened. So like as soon as I was getting into teaching, it's like everything got shut down. So it's like, okay, what do I do now? This whole time, mind you, I never got off track as far as like I want to pursue music. But as I'm getting older, it's like, all right, I want to be a producer. And then like I get to like 26, 27, it's like, all right, I want to be a DJ. Because it's just like I've had the app on my phone forever. When I was September 2017 is when I started DJ's playlist. So that's when I was just putting songs on Spotify. But the way I was doing it, because I didn't have equipment at the time, I was doing it in a way where like, all right, if I made a mix, how would it sound? Like if I played this song. So I was putting them in an order, just trying to do it, like something. And at the same time, it allowed me to express my emotions. Like I was putting out playlists like almost every day. It's like, oh, this is how I'm feeling today. And like, especially with the breakup and all that stuff, it's just like, man, sometimes I was sad. Sometimes most of the time I'm happy. But like during that time, it's like, it really helped me process my emotions. So it was like, okay. Then you fast track to 28, pandemic happens. It's like, all right, well, what do I do now? So I started making actual mixes. Like Prescott had given me a old set of turntables or controllers, the Pioneer DDJ WeGo 2, I believe. So I started using that. I was like, all right. And then I had the DJ program. I bought a MacBook so that I could put the program on my laptop. So I was like, okay, I can do this. So I started making mixes with that. Then I got some better equipment. So it's like, all right, so during the pandemic, that's when I really started like figuring out, it's like, all right, how do I do this? Like, how do I be a DJ? So if you listen to my first mix on SoundCloud and then you listen to like my mix now, it's completely different. Because when I first started, like I pitched everything up because I was worried about like copyrights. And now I'm just like, man, they take it down. So far, they've only taken one down, and that was because of The Weeknd. So it's like, all right, whatever. But I'm not mad at it. That was like just that was a very short mix anyway. So it's just like, all right, whatever. But yeah, like last year, 28, that's when I just started figuring out. I was like, all right, I'll put a mix out here. And then like everybody was getting on the Twitch. Like, so it's like, all right, maybe I can do some Twitch streams. So I was doing that. And then like the years progressing, it was like, all right, cool. And then 29 happened November of last year. 29 was pretty good. I can't complain. 28 was good, and 29 was good to me. I mean, we were still in the pandemic, so it was like, all right, still in the house. But then, like, once everything started dying down, it's like, okay, we come back out of the house now. All right, cool. And then May of this year, my lease is going to be up at the end of the month at the apartment. So it's like, all right, where do I want to go now? And I wanted to move to Philly. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and move to Philly. Like most of the other stories, like I'm always just taking that leap of faith. It's just like, all right, I don't know how it's going to work out, but fuck it, like let's go. So, but before I moved, like second half of 29 was crazy. Before I moved in May, like halfway through May or beginning of May, went to New York and hung out with the gang. Shout out the gang. Then halfway through May, shout out Dolo and Sunshine. Shout out Dylan and Sunshine. They got married in Hawaii. Dylan's from Hawaii, so he invited us out. He went to the Mount for a few years, but he decided to go back home. But he's in our fantasy football group, so he invited us all out, and then it was me, Rick, and Big Al. We went to Hawaii, so we spent time there. Hawaii was fucking amazing, bro. Fucking phenomenal. Fucking phenomenal. And then I come back home, and then it's like, all right, I got to move out now. So then beginning of June, I'm like, all right, I'm going to Philly. So I go up to Philly, and then like I go up to Philly. I'm like, all right, let me start looking at some places. Like, even in hindsight now, it's like, in theory, I should be more prepared. But I'm still the kind of person where it's just like, if there's something that I want to do, like, I'm just going to jump ahead, go do it, and I'm going to figure out how it goes. But as I'm getting older, it's like, all right, I gotta be a little more. No, I have to be more prepared if I want to do the things that I want to do. So I could be able to just be like, but I don't have to worry like, shit, like, how's this gonna work out? It's like, it's going. But either way, it works out, and regardless, not irregardless, it works out regardless of whatever I do. Like, I just have the faith that it's gonna work out. So go to Philly in June, spend about like a month up there. But like, I'm going back and forth between Philly and home. And then beginning of July, we go to Ocean City. So shout out to gang again. Spent about 2 weeks there. Like, the whole summer I was just basically trapping, because I was like, all right, well, like, I got money saved up, so I might as well just go out and do what I want. So went up to Philly, then Ocean City, then came back from Ocean City. Spent like a day back in Philly, and then I went to Savannah, Georgia, because I wanted to check out this Savannah College of Art and Design and see, like, I just wanted to check it out because I could have went there. So I went there and I checked it out. Like, that was great. Like, Savannah's cool. And then came back to Philly. But a little backtrack. Ocean City, that's when I got my first gig. Like, shout out to Zach and Megan. They asked me to do their wedding party. If you haven't seen episode 9 of Convos with Deej, like, it's episode 9. So that's when I got my first gig, the offer for the first gig. So from that point, all that was on my mind was, all right, I need to be prepared for my first gig. So I was putting the songs together and trying and getting everything in order and just staying in contact, all that stuff. The things that you should do as a DJ. So let's see. July ends, I'm in Philly, and then I come back home in August, and then my grandma's house gets struck by lightning for the second time. Yes, second time. But this time there was an electrical fire, so they ended up having to tear the walls down and all that shit. So they ended up having to move into a hotel for 2 months. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go back up to Philly until the house gets straightened out. So I went back up to Philly, spent 2 months up there, did like salsa classes. I went to the gyms. Like 27 to 29, I guess, going all the way back to that question, like, at the beginning, like, how did you survive 27 to 29? It's like, I just was really focused on myself, basically. Like, I was focused on, like, well, I know I want to be a DJ. What do I have to do it? Like, I had to do these steps. Like, I gotta get this equipment, this, that, and the third. And it's been a process of getting the things, but I'm closer than I was when I was 20, when I was 21 for sure. So, but I was also, like, going to the gym. I started eating healthier. I was listening to podcasts, like, just taking in good information. And also at the same time, I was staying away from negative energy, like, to be honest. Like, not saying like family's negative, but sometimes you're not on the same page, and, like, sometimes that can affect you. So me having the apartment, that was my space to, like, reflect and reset and just get myself together. So it was like, all right, cool. And then I also had to cut off some people. Like, in summer 2018, I had to cut off all my childhood friends for reasons that I definitely can't go into. But, that was, like, it, because there's a saying, it's like, you are who, or like your five friends, your five closest friends are a representation of who you are as a person, or something along the lines of that. So it's like, okay, so I literally only have like five real close friends that I talk to all the time. Not saying that I don't have more than five friends, but I have five, like like those five people from that quote. Like I have five of them: Ham, AJV, Rick, Kyle, Prescott. I named them in the order of that I met them to. I met Ham first, then I met AJV, then I met Rick first, or then I met Rick after, then I met Kyle, and then I met Prescott. Those are my five closest friends, and they are great people. Like I love y'all. Y'all are the gang forever. So, but if I didn't have them, I don't know if I would have been able to cut off like my old friends, because it's just like, well, all right, well, who the fuck am I going to talk to now? Like who like, all right, whatever. But because I had to choose, it's like, well, what group do I want to be? Like who represents me? Because I also had about like five friends, five close home friends. So it's like, I can either be this group or I can be this group. And I chose the mount. I chose the mount, bro. Chose the mount. So shout out to y'all. But let's see. Yeah, and then September, and then October I had the first gig. Yeah, just bringing it back to 29. September I was in Philly. Then October I went down to Charleston, and I had my first gig, and that was great. Even with all the stuff that happened, it's like, it was still like, all right, I can now say, it's like, I can say that I'm a DJ. I still have to go out here and get more gigs, obviously, and put the work in, whatever. But now I can say, it's like, I can do it. Like, I can go out. I've done it. I've went out here and because in my mind, I'm like, I didn't even really get to perform in front of everybody. But it's like, the situation that I was in, I did the best of my ability. And I know the music was on point, even though I didn't get to play all my songs, whatever. But like, I know I did a good job. So I can say, like, I can go out here and I can set the vibe, and potentially, like, I can do it for real. So not even potentially, like, I can do it. So that was important. So shout out to Zach and Megan for getting married and having a wedding party. So I guess, like, for 28, the most important lesson was just I wrote down always strive and prosper. Shout out to ASAP Mob. Cause like the whole pandemic was crazy for everybody. So you gotta figure out what you're gonna do. Like, just tying all the lessons together, you gotta figure out what you want to do with your life, and you gotta go after it. You can't let other people dictate what you want to do. Like, people have have your best interest in heart, but only you know what you want to do with your life. So, man, from 20, like, I could see, even from 19, I could see, like, all right, like, life is short. So what am I going to do? Like, am I going to sit in the office all day, or am I going to do what I want to do with my life? Because at some point you're going to be old, and you're going to look back, or like that one story is not, or whatever, not a story. I guess the story is like the old man or woman laying on their deathbed, and like it's the ghost from Les Brown. He's talking about, like, it's just ghosts all around you. It's the ghost of your regrets, and you're just sitting there, and they're just mad at you because, like, you were supposed to do this, and like, you didn't do it, so now we gotta die with you. And I'm not with the shits. Like, I'm on earth to do what I want to do and fulfill my purpose and follow my dreams. And people may say fuck your dreams. It's like, nah, because those people that say fuck your dreams are living their dream. And just because your dream is different from their dream doesn't mean that your dream isn't important. Like, whatever you want to do, go do that. Like Tyler said, whatever you want to go do, go and do that shit. Legit. Like, that's the most important. That's the most important lesson of my 20s. Go do that shit. Like, you're gonna go out here, you're gonna make mistakes, but fuck it. Like, if you know what you want to do, like, go out there and go make mistakes, because people, you're gonna make mistakes. That's life. Whatever. Go out there, go do that shit. Go do that shit. Like Nike. Just go do that shit, please. So, thank you for staying. This is a long video, for sure. Just imagine, like, the one I did yesterday was longer. So, thank you for everybody for tuning in. Shout out to me for going through what I went through the past 10 years. Happy birthday to me, I guess. It's like, yeah, happy birthday. But yeah, so this has been episode 11 of Convos with Deej. Love y'all. Stay safe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.